How's it going, everybody? Ed Ricker here. Welcome back to my channel. A couple weeks ago, actually on February 1st, I think, I uploaded a video calling out for video suggestions. And Rob Sanchez said, suggestion on a video, do something about location, specifically where you live, why would you shoot, what time of day, and any other things you need to consider when doing drone shoots. So, by the way, thanks for saying you love the videos. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Some of the things that you need to think about when you are planning a shoot, either days, weeks, or just hours in advance, and some things that are going to help you out. So this video is going to be broken up into three pieces: equipment, weather, and location. Those are three things you really need to consider if you're going to have a successful flight and you're going to get the drone shots that you want. So first of all, we're talking about equipment. Checklists for equipment, either for maintenance, maybe it's for checklists you don't forget something, or inspections because you want to make sure that your drone is going to operate well and it's not going to fall out of the sky when you're flying. Checklists are a big deal, and especially as you get more accessories, as you add drones to your arsenal. Maybe you're going to do a shoot that includes some ground level videography like handheld stuff, GoPros, whatever. You want to make sure that you do your packing the previous night. You really have time to think about what you need so that you don't start rushing before the shoot and start packing 20 minutes before you have to leave and forget something at the house. Weather, check the weather. Make sure that the weather on the day you want to shoot is going to be good. Just the other day, I made a video about my shoot with Popular Mechanics and it went great. I think we shot it, what was that, Tuesday or Monday? Well, we were supposed to shoot it last Thursday. The problem was it turned out to be a rainy day. It was cold, it was like 40 degrees. And so yeah, we postponed it. And it's good to do that. It's good to be flexible because you never know how things are gonna be with the weather. And flying a drone, it's ever more important for you to stay on top of that sort of thing. Everything from rain that's forecasted wind speed. Also, you're talking about FAA restrictions even on just cloud cover. According to the FAA, if you're in the United States, you cannot fly closer to 500 feet below the cloud base of any given area. You also can't fly closer than 2,000 feet horizontally from clouds. An easy way to figure out where that cloud cover is and how low it is, you can actually take the temperature at surface level at Fahrenheit and then subtract the dew point from that, and then divide that value by 4.4 and then multiply it by 1,000. And then whatever value you get is actually the amount of feet above ground level that cloud base is hovering at. You can also check on websites like skyvector.com, which are going to include alerts to airmen and that sort of thing, as well as pilot reporting, people who have already flown through an area and then report turbulence or report icing or something like that. You can also put your mouse over many of the airports that are listed on skyvector.com and you can see the wind speed and the temperature and any other information that you need to know about the weather around that area. Now that takes us to location. So you got to make sure that you have a good location lined up for this. And the big thing there, go back to skyvector.com. You can see, is it within 5 miles of an airport? Is it in a controlled airspace like B, C, D, or E, or some sort of military or alert zone or something like that? You always want to make sure that you know where you're flying and what airspace or area you are flying in. Technically, you can't fly 5 miles or closer to an airport without notifying that airport. Now, if it's a Class E airspace that only starts at 700 feet above ground level, you have to notify the airport, but you probably still will fly within a Class G airspace around it. The issue would be if you were flying next to Class D or B or C airspace airports, then you might actually be within that controlled airspace as well as within that 5-mile radius of the airport. In that situation, you would have to notify the airport control tower as well as get FAA clearance to fly within that airspace. Skyvector.com shows all of the airports in the region, but it doesn't show helipads. If you actually download the Before You Fly app that's made by the FAA, you can actually see all the helipads in the region as well as the airports and make sure that you're in compliance. Technically, you also have to notify helipads if you're going to be flying near them as well. On the day of flying, you probably also want to go to skyvector.com just to check for any temporary flight restrictions. Those restrictions may be because of security reasons or VIP reasons, like the president's arriving in town or something. And so You can check on those to make sure that you're in compliance with all of those restrictions, as well as notices to airmen or NOTAMs. Also, you have to think about time of day for shooting. When you're flying a drone, it's not really going to lend a great image if you're gonna fly midday with the sun beating down. Of course, if you need to, fine, but the whole issue with getting something dramatic and getting something really beautiful, in my eyes anyway, is to shoot later on in the day when the sun's a little lower in the sky. It's not hitting things, beating down on them straight on. It's more hitting off to the side. You got these long dramatic shadows. The coloration's a little more warm. So I really like to shoot later on in the day or early in the morning to get that sun. It's a little more hitting horizontally as opposed to vertically. So also think about people, if it's a nice day at the beach, if it's a nice day at the park, it's a beautiful day, very balmy 72 degrees, you might have a lot of people who might interfere with your shoot. Technically, you can't fly over people who aren't involved in the production. So that's another FAA rule. And also they might start coming over to you, little kids or people who just take an interest in drones are going to walk over to you and say, hey, what you doing? That looks really cool. That can be fun if you're an extroverted person, but if you're trying to get the shot and you're low on time, having people walk up to you is not always the best thing. At this point, in addition to setting your frames per second and your resolution and all that stuff that I've talked about in previous videos, set your white balance. Make sure that your white balance is in accordance with how the light is when you're shooting. So if it's sunny, set it to sunny. If it's cloudy, set it to cloudy. Don't rely on auto white balance because it's gonna work 75% of the time and 25% it's gonna look a little too blue, a little too, yellow. All right, now you've had a great flight, you just got home, pop the SD card out, transfer over your footage to your hard drive and transfer to a second hard drive. Back up your footage. Make sure that you have at least 2 copies of whatever footage you took that you really like, because one day something's gonna happen and your computer will die, you'll get a virus, you're gonna delete something by accident. Back up as just like a habit, the first thing you do when you get home. And there you have it. Those are pretty much the things that I like to think about before I fly to make sure that my flight is a success. Thanks for watching. Hope this video was informative. I'll be doing some other videos from suggestions that you make, so keep the suggestions coming. I love them. And until next time, thanks for watching, everybody.